and welcome to Looking for Mr. Rabbit on the 15th of December, my Monday YouTube update about the progress of my memoir Looking for Mr. Rabbit, which is a autobiographical montage of all of my writing from the age 13 up until 40, 42-ish old. Anyway, before we start, I just want to remind you that you should subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter at @ModMilitaryMum, and find me on Facebook under Claire McNaughton, and check out what's going on in my life on my blog modernmilitarymother.com. Right, so it's only 9 days to Christmas, so I'm wearing my festive Christmas pudding hat and and I've got a tree here. Look, happy Christmas. There's the tree, although you can't see it because it's too difficult because I don't have a shelf. Anyway, so there is no news on Looking for Mr. Rabbit. I have still not heard from Sarah Westcott. I imagine that the Christmas period is becoming too tricky for her to get on with doing the manuscript, although a friend of mine did point out that I shouldn't have perhaps paid her up front. So I've paid her up front, she's not done the work, but anyway, we'll see what happens. In the meantime, there has been actually a publishing scandal regarding the YouTube sensation, Wiltshire YouTube from sensation. You know, I'm in Wiltshire, so, you know, hoping that some of it will rub off the Wiltshire magic. YouTube sensation Zoella, who has just released a book called Online Girl, I think, or Girl Online, which has sold out more books than Harry Potter and Twilight and other best-selling books that sell crazy amounts of money. And there's been a huge hoo-ha because it turns out that the 24-year-old vlogger with 6 million followings who vlogs about beauty products and makeup and her relationship with another blogger called Alfie is not actually a writer. It's not a huge, and didn't write her own book and had a ghostwriter to write her own book, and this is a big, everyone's obsessed about it. Now, I am a ghostwriter, I have ghostwritten a book, and I have had a big fallout with Penguin over the ghostwriting of my book, partly because I didn't understand the way that ghostwriting works, in that you're supposed to write this fantastic book and then hand it over to the author, because it's all about the personality that writes the book. The writing has very little to do with it. The writing has to be good enough for readers to feel that they have got a book that they're happy with. Now, the quality of writing varies depending on the market that you're targeting with your book. So in commercial fiction and commercial non-fiction, the book doesn't have to be particularly literary. So it can just be, it's just got to be a bit of a page turner, it's got to ideally be grammatically correct, and it's got to keep the audience captivated. But actually, in modern publishing, it's not about the writing or the writer, it's about the subject. So obviously everybody's really upset that Zoella, who is a great vlogger, isn't able to write her own book, as if we should be able to write for ourselves. Now, my problem is not that subjects need ghostwriters or writers to support them in producing readable material. My problem is that this is not a transparent industry. Now, it reminds me of the ghost singing in Hollywood in the 50s, and there was a woman called Marnie Nixon who was a ghost singer, and she sang for Deborah Kerr on The King and I, and she sang for Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady, and she sang in some other films as well, but I think those were her most notable ones. Now, I think that Audrey Hepburn was fantastic in My Fair Lady, and in a Hollywood film environment, I don't see there's anything wrong really with dubbing her with a fantastic singer, because Marnie Nixon is a great singer, but she's not Audrey Hepburn. And the fact is that Audrey Hepburn doesn't have to be this all-rounded, talented person to deliver a great performance in what is now considered to be a classic film. So my issue really is the transparency with ghostwriting. There's no reason why Zoella shouldn't be ghostwritten or have a writer supporting her, but that writer should be there with her, holding hands. Another famous ghostwriter who I also met was Tom Watts, who played Lofty in EastEnders, and he ghostwrote David Beckham's autobiography. Now, he loved it. He loved being a ghostwriter, and he almost liked the anonymity. Now, me, who's a complete media whore, and actually ghostwrote a book in order to break into publishing to flag up my writing, was very disappointed with the process because they didn't want me. They wanted Mark Hammond, Major Mark Hammond, who was the subject of the book Immediate Response, which I ghost wrote. It was all about him. It wasn't about the writer. And for me, that is the travesty of the ghostwriting situation. Not that Zoella needs a ghostwriter, because I think it's rational that she wouldn't be able to write a book of a publishable standard, but more that there is no transparency in the way that books are constructed. Lots and lots of well-known brands are ghostwritten. For example, James Patterson is ghostwritten. There is not much authenticity because what publishers want to do is make money. They need to sell books. And what happens in the way that books are sold is that the audience, the reader, hooks into a certain style of writing and then you devour it, you know, like a bit like sort of, you know, films 1, 2 and 3. Now, invariably, a lot of books aren't able to give you that initial quality. So you either get literary authors like Donna Tartt, who wrote, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. The Secret Garden. No, The Secret something. Oh, shit. It was a great book. Anyway, Donna Tartt wrote a great book called The Secret something, because I'm a nana. I've totally forgotten what it is. And then she wrote a book called The Goldfinch. Now, they are very literary books, and she's written one fantastic book, and then a decade later or 15 years later, she produces another book. Or you've got someone like Hilary Mantel, who did Wolf Hall. She's very literary. She writes these fantastic literary books, and she dedicates her time to writing. And there is a big distinction between commercial fiction and literary fiction. And I'm never going to be literary because I'm just some pikey from, you know, that went to comprehensive and didn't go to Oxford, and I don't study structure, and I write this sort of very gonzo stream of consciousness sort of ranty text. But what I write quite often resonates with people, but publishing doesn't like that. Publishing, the BBC, all of these sort of Oxbridge bourgeois establishments, they don't enable ordinary people to come forward unless you conform to the conventions that they decree to be the way that business should be done. And I have a problem with that. I have no problem with books, like with subjects being supported by writers, but I think that writers should be acknowledged and it should be public, and that a good writer should be able to go forward and support other writers, and that those writers become brands in their own right. So you get James Patterson with a great crime writer supporting his brand, and you know, you actually then open up the doors for other writers. Otherwise, with my situation, I wrote Immediate Response. It was a bestseller, but I don't want to write battlefield memoirs. It doesn't interest me. I wrote a battlefield memoir to show that I could write, with the hope that one day, that from that they would go, oh yeah, excellent, you're a fantastic writer, let's write some chick lit together, or whatever. Not even chick lit, let's just write something in a genre that is remotely interesting to me as a person, and not some fucking military wife choir shit, but something that interests me. And so, but no, they didn't say that. They said, oh yes, you can be a ghostwriter for more battlefield memoirs if you like, love. You know, thanks very much, great piece of work, top 10 bestseller, we're all about the subject, he's done some really brave things, you don't fucking matter, off you trot, love. Now, there were a few sort of cunning twists in this tale that made it very uncomfortable for Penguin, in that I legally own the copyright for this book, and I assigned it over to my subject, and they didn't expect me to kick off about that, but I did, because, you know, I'm a bit, I don't care about big brands anymore. You know, maybe no one's ever going to read my book. I don't care. I'm going to be like the Clash. I'm going to be the modern female 40-something feministic version of the Clash, and fuck you, I'm going to eat cake or whatever. I'm not going to be this kind of, you know, suck up to the bourgeois publishing houses, which means that obviously I'm never going to get published by another fucking publishing house again. But we'll see. Anyway, Looking for Mr. Rabbit is still an edit, and God knows what's happened to Sarah Westcott at Dendham, but she's not come back to me yet. And it's Christmas in 9 days, so, you know, happy Christmas, everybody. Look at the tree. Yay! Happy Christmas to you all. And I hope that 2015 is just rocking. I could do with 2015 just being the year where Looking for Mr. Rabbit, it becomes an international bestseller based on this fantastic stream of consciousness, honest, authentic writing about real life people doing real life shit. And, got a bit dark. And I look forward to catching up with you. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you like this video, press like. I learned that from watching my little girls watching a lot of Frozen Elsa videos, and they're like, if you enjoyed this content, please press like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you like this video, press like, please, and share it. Share it with your friends. Come on, let's get everybody on board. I'm going to be doing this shit every Monday. Sit in my bloody office talking to myself. Yes, so you can follow me on amodernminiaturemother.com. Subscribe. Find me on Twitter, tweeting, and find me at Claire McNaughton on Facebook. I am fully Christmased up today. Look, I've got Christmas jumper on and everything. I'm a pudding hat, and I'm actually going out into that there London town to have like a freelance festive dinner with some freelancers, because when you sit in your own office on your own talking to yourself into the camera, you know, it gets a bit lonely. So I've managed to rustle up a bit of an office Christmas party for myself. Anyway, I shall be back next Monday for more updates on Looking for Mr. Rabbit, which I suspect there will be none, so I shall rant about something else. And thanks very much for listening, and Merry Christmas, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye!